Welcome to Vishal Chess School. If you are new here, I would like to mention that I am a chess content creator from India and I have been creating content since a long time. I took this lesson and paid my coach around $20 and I am bringing it to you for free. So consider supporting this channel. Link will be in the description. Moving forward, I will be discussing every move bit by bit. You will understand positional themes, you will understand tactics. The most important thing we are going to discuss is Italian opening in depth. The game that we will discuss today is of Magnus Carlsen and current world champion Gukesh Domeraju. So Magnus gives an important lesson how to play against Italian, to be very accurate, how to play against fried liver attack. We will also discuss what could be the positional mistakes, what could be the blunders, what is the thought process behind every move, and how many mistakes you can make if you don't know the opening. I mean, if you know this opening, you can easily win across 100 rating points and increase over the board, FIDE board tournaments, and also on the online games. So let's start. Here Gukesh is playing white and Magnus is playing black. We will be discussing both sides of moves. I have chosen black on the lower side so we can understand how to play against Italian opening. So e4 against e5 is played, and then white develops his knight and attacks this pawn. The usual response for black should be knight c6 because it is defending this knight and also you are developing a piece. In general, in openings, you develop your piece, you take center, you position your pieces behind and then attack on the opponent. These are the principles, general principles we need to follow. So bishop to c4, this is the Italian setup, and then this knight would try to come here and then attack this f7 pawn with the support of this bishop, because then you won't be able to capture here, and if this happens you get a fork on the queen and the rook, and then obviously the queen will be saved and you will lose your rook. And if that happens, the most easiest way to win for white would be to exchange pieces, exchange all the pieces, and then you will end up with a rook, and after that take all the pieces and then promote one of these pawns to a queen and then checkmate black. So this is the most easiest prominent opening, which is Italian opening. Let's discuss more in detail. So knight f6 was played because the knight is also attacking e4 now, and at this position Magnus is inviting Gukesh to play fried liver attack, which is generally not played above 2000 rating. You will generally see players playing it below 2000 rating because it comes with a preparation of opening, and above 2000 generally everyone knows this, and hopefully after this video you will be acquainted with all the measures to play against this opening. So knight to g5 was played. As I mentioned, Gukesh is trying to attack the f7 pawn. Magnus, being Magnus, played the counter attacking d5, which is the best move in this position. This is the master class for Magnus, and then e-cutting d5 was played. Now there is a glitch in the matrix, means if you will see that this pawn at d5 is being attacked by the knight and by the queen, and you will think that if I capture this, he will simply capture with the bishop and then I will capture with the queen, and for a bishop and a pawn I just gave up my knight and I will be a pawn up. So considering this, if you move forward, knight cuts d5, and that is actually a blunder in this situation because your positionally is very weak, because white is not going to capture as you thought. White is going to sacrifice his knight on f7 and then fork your queen and rook. But you will say, what? Is he not simply losing because he's giving up his knight? You will just take the knight. No, that's the power of learning the theory of an opening preparation, because now queen comes on f3 and gives you a check. All right, nothing happens. I will move my king back, and once you take your king to g8, that is an actual blunder because you lose in 3 moves. Bishop takes d5. How will you prevent this check? The only move is to sacrifice your queen, and not only you are sacrificing your queen, because queen to d5 will come and give you a checkmate because your king is stuck between all his pieces and is not going anywhere, and you lose this match. All right, you will say that I won't move my king inside to g8, I'm not a bozo, and I will come back to my original position on e8, then also you lose this knight and you cannot capture this because you will get captured by the queen. And if you don't see this, you will be mated in one move because queen and bishop is making a battery and threatening a mate. So what can black do? If you choose to play maybe queen to e7, this bishop is now being hindered by its own piece and it is being stopped to be developed. And if you think let's go to d7, then now this bishop as c8 is not feeling well because now it will take time to go out. So the most best position you can find in this move is queen to f6. But now you will think that he will capture your queen and then you will simply capture back with the pawn and then you will go to the end game. It's not in this case because white can simply take on c6. See what I'm trying to tell, that it's not the usual thing that will happen whatever you are thinking. You have to consider so many options that would go with the opponent. What can your opponent do? You have to think on every move. So bishop to c6 if happens, and now white will ask you a question that how would you capture this? Are you going to take with this pawn, or you have one more option, I don't know you have seen it or not, that you can capture with the queen. If you are willing to capture with this b6 pawn, then 1 you will get a double pawn, 2 you have already missed your castling rights because you have lost it, and now your double pawns are there. Maybe this will come with a check and then you will lose a rook, and if not, in general you will see that these pawns can go and fight, and now when 2 pawns are there you will see that 3 pawns would get very dangerous in the end game. Also, if you think it likewise, that now your queen side structure is also ruined. So queen to c6 comes, and now the same theory. Are you going to capture, or also are you going to give a check? Because after the check you can collect this pawn. Let's analyze queen to h5 first. If you play queen to h5, then g6 obviously, and then the pawn will be captured. Now you're thinking, oh, what's the big deal in it? I'm getting a rook. No, think, you're getting a rook because king to f7. And now do you want to take this? Now let's say white choose to take this rook, and now, well, as a white you're thinking you are up a rook, and now the black's king is in trouble because there are no pieces above it, and your queen is suddenly attacking this bishop, and now it's all sorts of feeling goodwill in your camp, but you miss something because queen cuts g2. Oh, that's nothing because I have taken a rook. I can save the rook with rook to f1. Yes. Now what can he do? He can come with this bishop. Of course, you can say this is also winning. But the most prominent and the best way to play in this situation is to go queen to e4, check. Oh, there is nothing. I can move my king to d1. Oh, wait for the another move. Here comes the check again, bishop to g4. Now white will be sweating because what can I do? There is a forcing move because everything is being blocked. You are crisscrossed, and the forcing move is to push. I had some relief there because f3, and now if the bishop captures, I have the rook capture. Okay, now alone queen cannot checkmate me, so have the only the forcing move. I have to move to my king to e1, but then suddenly you will see the another last piece coming to the action is rook comes to e1, and that would be a mate. So this is the end of what you are looking at. But yes, you can play one move, you can block that check through coming to the queen, and that would be a mate. So taking that rook is not good for white, even it's worse for white. That is the losing way. So you don't take the losing way, you take the highway, and you just castle in this position. Let's go a move before, because here in this position you are not going to capture this rook, and now you will simply castle. Let's say white castle, but then suddenly you will see that now bishop is coming in and getting a tempo, and if given a chance he will put his rook to on f8, and then king can slide in, rook will be activated, bishop will be active, and there is no compensation. getting for the white. So when I told you that in the position at queen cuts c6 is the best move in this position, going to the h5 is good, playable, but it's not giving much of an advantage. If you take the queen, you force the opponent to have double pawns. Now this structure is not good because the f7 is also weak. King has lost its right to castle, but you can. So that was the theory related to these moves on the Italian opening. But what did Magnus do? Let's say after the g5, as I mentioned that, let's go from the beginning. So e4, e5, and then knight attacking. Knight comes out saving the pawn. Bishop comes out attacking the f7. Knight to f6, inviting play Italian. I'm ready for it. So Italian was played, I mean fried liver attack was played, and d5 counter attacking. Pawn was captured. Do you think Magnus would take it with the pawn? No, we just learned that that is the positional mistake. So Magnus is going for the another counter attack. He played b5, and now what do you think? If he captures this, then he will capture this. As simple as that. Gukesh decides to go back to bishop to f1. He do not wants to take, because then if he is taking, let's say he takes the pawn, but then you will simply take this pawn and attack this bishop, at the same time attack this pawn. And now this knight, what is this knight doing here? Nothing, because now you cannot even capture, because queen will capture. Also be aware that you don't take this with this pawn to take this knight, because then if you capture here, you get your pawn back, but he will simply push this and safeguard this knight, and he is now developing, or he can simply castle. So that would give white to be in a better position, although you are equalizing and black, so that is also a good move. But moving forward, bishop to b5 is not played in the game. What in the game was played, that he simply took his bishop back to f1. So you think that bishop was first moving forward and then it got back. It is all part of a theory. You can see this is a book move, and now knight has captured it, threatening to take here. But now white decided to take the pawn. Why? Because this is a counter attack. You will see the better players to train their mind to see the counter attacking possibilities, because now if you go for attacking this, we will take your knight and that would come with a check, and I will again take your rook and win this match. So Gukesh was aware of it, and very well he took the pawn. But now Magnus starts the engine. He plays bishop to b7. Gukesh is going for the center. Now the basic principle I told you, that capture the center. Whoever captures the center, pieces are behind and then attack on the opponent army. So he is directly challenging the center. Now Magnus took e cutting d4 and he simply castled. Now Magnus is asking that I am better at developing my pieces, because now you have to waste a move coming out and then you can castle. Meanwhile, I can simply attack if given a chance, gives you a check. So Magnus sees this and bishop to e7 was played, and knight goes back, because now you have to take this pawn back. You have given a pawn. And now when Magnus castled, Gukesh decided to first capture this and not going for this. So bishop cuts f6, and when bishop cuts f6 happens, now knight is coming out, because knight is getting another tempo on this bishop. So bishop to b7 is still sitting behind. Now another knight is developed. Knight to d2 is not developing here to give opponent the chance to cancel out and force a double pawn on the white's army. Magnus is ready for it, so Gukesh realized it, and knight to d2 was played. And then rook to e8, bringing all the pieces to the center, getting an open file. These are the principle Magnus is showing in his masterclass. So c3 is played, just saving this knight and saying that I have some role in the center. My knight is sitting in the center and capturing so many pieces on your camp. And now Magnus decides to attack that knight. He says, take your knight back, come on. And then knight goes move forward, knight to f5. He wants to capture at this bishop, maybe given a chance, come to here and maybe threaten some mate. Alright, Magnus sees this, so he moves bishop to f8 and saves this pawn at g7. Also, now the time for the principal. Make a note. In the middle game, you can keep your bishop at the last rank, bring it back, and then in the end game, you take it out. There is no rule that you have to keep your pieces or forcefully keep it in the center. If you have better places for that bishop, keep that in there and don't be afraid to pull back your bishop if it do something well to your camp. In this case, bishop plays a necessary role because it safeguards from g7 attacks. Now knight moves to f3. These two positions are being saved. So now knight to g3. Another knight is going back and saving their king with these two knights and safeguards. No attack can be made. No funny business. h6. No bishop coming here and trying to get a tempo on the queen. Simple h6. So if anything tries here, either the knight or the bishop, I will simply capture and get a knight for a pawn. Alright, queen to c2 was played, threatening this, maybe coming with a battery somehow. Rook a to d8. And rook is again lined here. And now as a black, you want to equalize more. The game is at equal, but you want to, if it is going towards a draw, you want to exchange pieces. So Magnus plays knight to b6, maybe trying to get this better square for his knight, and he knows that after the exchange he will get an open file for his rook. So Magnus does this, and knight to e1. Generally you will say till 1500 to 2000 you won't see someone taking their knight back, make it passive, but there's a role for this knight. This knight can come here or can take these places and come up and get some outpost, maybe given a chance. So rerouting of knights is necessary in a high level games, and that we will learn. So rook to e8, attacking that knight. Bishop comes in, and then now you will see how Magnus plays a master card, and now he is going for the win because he is forcing the opponent to see what is coming. He was unaware, and then you will see knight to c4, asking a question that he is going to capture this bishop. Well, he takes his knight back. Gukesh says, if you are going to capture my bishop, I will simply capture with this knight, and there is no pawn getting weakness there because I am securing it with my knights. But now what Magnus does, he plays knight cuts e3, gives up the knight, and now he plays c4. He wants to take his bishop out. Queen to a4, attacking this rook. So now this bishop is passive. There is no role because now cannot queen jump to g4, somehow plays here. Now the knight has gone back. So now is the time you want to take your bishop out. So rook cuts e3. He simply sacrifices a exchange and says that this is a brilliant move. I claim a brilliant move because if you take, then you will have a weakness here. Your knight is doing passive and my bishop is ready to attack you on the radar of this g2 pawn. So f cutting e3 was played, and now Magnus is taking out his bishop because now is the starting phase of slightly end of the middle game. And now as the knight has a move, you simply get a check because the pawn is taken. So a rook and a pawn. Rook was sacrificed for a knight and a pawn, so you get 4 points worth of material. Sacrificing a rook that is worth of 5 points, but yes, the rook is stronger, of course. So king to f1 was played, but now you will see that all the pieces of Magnus are collaborating and he has now almost of +2 advantage, and that is a very significant for player like Magnus. Magnus more pushes. Queen to d1 was played, and now he plays queen to e4. When I saw this, my first point was seeing that he wants to put his bishop here, guarding along with this pawn, and gives a check, so that now to remove this bishop he has to reroute this knight back and then maybe attack here while you can defend this with the queen. So this would get hard for Gukesh, but you will see that Gukesh is also fighting going to d7, and I don't know, he was in time trouble or something because it was getting checked. And the most prominent move that I see there was bishop coming to d3, but he do not do that. He makes king to h7, and this is not one of the best moves you will see in this position, because if bishop to d3 was played, then king to e1, and then you will see queen coming into the picture at b6 attacking here the b2 pawn, but then you will get a check, king goes up, and maybe b2 is protected at b4. But you will see that there was a brilliant move available at d2. You will say, why, what is happening here? Because you will get a check. After that, from the queen you cannot capture it. Now king is weak, and once the king goes down, you will get a check. King has only one position to move to e1. Now you will get a check, and now king goes up and you get a rook. So basically now Gukesh would be an exchange down, and it would be more tougher because this is +4 of advantage for Magnus. Okay, you can take this pawn, but now check, and if king moves up, now my pawn is rolling down, and when queen does something to stop my pawn, he cannot, because now again the pawn is going down. Let's say you attack my queen, but my queen safeguards, and you can go to knight to b3, rerouting the knight again and safeguarding this position to go to c1. This is really interesting, because now if I queen, you have to capture, and now you will be a piece down, which is just the end of this analysis, because from here there's no point, because Magnus is not going to lose a piece up match. So after king h7 was played, probably Gukesh, the analysis king, must have realized these things, so he quickly manages and gets king to e2 coming up, and when the bishop was taken back, rook comes into the center, queen to g6, maybe threatening some kind of check here. So king to d1, going out of this check, and now queen cuts g2, another pawn drops out of the Gukesh's camp, but now Gukesh gives up the exchange. He simply gives up the rook for the bishop, because there will be simply a check, but he knows that my rook is still hanging on, because he can simply uses his king to protect it. And now the bishop can come, but after b3 you will say not much left, because both the parties have agreed to a draw with threefold repetition, and that was 39 moves. And we have discussed about the Italian game, about the fried liver attack, about what role, what positional abilities does Magnus provide, and at the end you get to see a game where the masterclass is played by Magnus, playing the every positional move very accurately. So if you like this analysis and you want more of it, do subscribe this channel and hit the bell button. Share these videos to your chess lover friends, and also don't forget to support this channel. The link is in the description and the comments. And if you regularly want to learn something like that, I have built a community called Vishal Chess School. Most prominent members would be in there, and we can play. Live classes would be there, live matches would be there, and some chess sessions. Like I'm taking chess sessions for myself, I'm paying $20-30 per session, so I can bring out all the game in that community. So if you're interested, you can go and join this. The link of that also will be in the description. Hope to see you there. See you soon. Bye.